Inventory financing 101. Here's everything you need to know. Look, if you're selling anything that involves you keeping inventory, even if it's e-commerce inventory, you're gonna want this training, because most people don't know that you can actually get 100% of the money you need to buy the inventory using inventory financing, and then even leverage the inventory you already have to get credit lines against to give you more capital to grow your business. How do you do it? Well, there's a lot of different options with inventory financing. We're gonna dive into them right now. We got a lot to cover, so let's dive in. So inventory financing on the surface is exactly what you would think it is. It's a way for you to finance the actual inventory that you need that you're actually selling. Now, sometimes it's e-commerce inventory that you're selling something online. Sometimes you might have an actual warehouse or an actual store where you're moving physical products from that retail store or from that warehouse. So if you are in a business where your business involves selling inventory, well, then inventory financing is right for you. Here's why it's right for you. Because more than likely, the number one cost you have in that business is buying the inventory. You have to buy the inventory, taking your cash. Then you have to sell the inventory, make a little bit of money back at a time. Then you have to replenish your cash and repeat. Well, the problem is if you're in main seasons like Christmas time, you could easily deplenish your inventory, have enough cash to replenish the inventory, and there's a gap there where you're not making money where you should be. Ta-da! Introducing inventory financing. Introducing financing fills that gap. It fixes that problem. Instead of you using your cash to buy the inventory, you're using inventory financing to buy the inventory for you. You're keeping your cash. Then as you make money off of what you're selling, you actually pay off the inventory financing. And believe it or not, inventory financing is really, really, really cheap. It's way cheaper than even using a credit card to be able to buy those things that you're buying. So now we can fix your major cash flow issue. We can take the number one expense you have, buying inventory, and use specialized financing to be able to do that for you. Now you can save your cash and use it for things like marketing, growth, and expansion. So let me look at some examples. Maybe you have a restaurant, right? And you have to buy all the silverware, the linens, the tables, the things like that. Well, inventory financing can help you. Maybe you actually have a beauty salon, right? You want to put all those products on the shelves that have high margins that you want to be able to sell to your customers. Well, inventory financing can handle that for you. Or again, maybe you're an online entrepreneur selling things through an e-commerce store. Well, again, inventory financing can cover all that for you. Maybe you're actually a manufacturing company where you have to actually come in and get everything that you need to be able to manufacture a product to be able to sell it to your end customer. Well, again, inventory financing can help you as well. If you have any kind of inventory or need to buy inventory, that is where inventory financing is a perfect fit. So there's basically two kinds of inventory financing you need to know about. One is strictly for e-commerce and one is for everything else. And by everything else, I mean, like you can't do perishables or jewelry. There are some exceptions of what inventory financing can actually work for, especially things that like change in value or value drops in a very short period of time. So when we look at inventory financing, basically you can go out there and get a credit line or a loan, typically a credit line, to be able to buy that inventory for everything else other than e-commerce. Now you can also take inventory you already have and you can get that credit line and you can borrow against the inventory you already have. So if I have $100,000 worth of inventory, where I could typically get a credit line for like $50,000 to $75,000 using the inventory I already have as collateral. So if you're going, oh my gosh, Ty, I wish you would have told me this before I went and spent all my money on inventory, it's okay. It's not too late. You can take the inventory you already have, maybe the clothes that are in the back of your store, and then you're able to actually get inventory financing, leveraging those assets, and then be able to get a working capital credit line against the inventory you already have. So you can use it for purchasing inventory or using it for basically borrowing against inventory you already have. Either way, you're able to get a credit line to finance that inventory. Now, the second type of inventory financing has to do with e-commerce inventory. And this is basically done through crowdfunding. And you can learn more about this at creditsuite.com/inventory. This is one of the best programs I've ever seen for funding a business. Here's how it works. All you need is $150,000 in previous sales and you qualify. Basically, you go to the funding source and they crowdsource the funding for your inventory. This typically takes an hour, 2 hours max. I mean, almost always same day. When you put a project up, the project is funded. And once you get funded the first time, like it happens even faster in future rounds of funding. So basically, you've already sold $150K in inventory, you go apply, you get approved, you need need another 200K, you put it up, they crowdfund it, they get the 200K, you get the money, you go buy more inventory. Now what happens is you start selling that stuff online, whatever it is that you're selling. And as you sell it, you take the money you use and you pay off the inventory financing that you used to get that inventory. Now you've got the inventory, now you can come in and get more and more and more inventory financing. This basically creates a scenario where you don't run out of cash because you're not using your cash to buy the inventory. You're literally using inventory financing to get the inventory. You're selling it. You're using that money to pay back the inventory financing. And when you're ready for more inventory, you repeat the process, avoiding the biggest expense you have right now out of pocket, which is actually buying the inventory. So inventory financing on top of that is very cheap. It's very affordable. Rates fluctuate because they're based on the prime rate, but they're not based on things like revenue or based on credit score. They're really based on how you manage your inventory. So you want to make sure you have a good inventory management system because that's what lenders care about the most. If you have a good way of managing your inventory and you have a good eye of what your inventory costs and how much inventory you have and you're tracking when it's sold and when to buy more, that's the main thing that lenders are looking at. So even with credit issues and lack of revenue and all these things that will get you typically denied, you can avoid all of those if you have a good inventory management system and still be able to get approved. Now, if this isn't the perfect product for you, keep in mind there's a lot of other funding options that are available for you as well. So grab our free guide on 27 killer ways to finance your business. You can get it at creditsuite.com/27. And by the way, did you get value from this training? Man, I'm working hard here. If so, make sure you like and subscribe and keep your eye out for our next training. We're talking about more cool ways to get the money you need to start and grow your business.